going back to like, yeah, both of you will say, especially Greg with opening the community up with the new building, and Getano with the demonstration of the cultures. That's what it was funny was. I didn't have any knowledge of the Indigenous culture until I started working with Creative Tracks, where they were experimenting of getting a Polynesian to go into the black community. And the funny thing was, exactly the same. Meaning, if the kid needed babysitter, you just go ask the other black fella. He'd be like, oh, yep, bring him here. Anytime they needed something. And I realised, I think maybe that's what's sort of missing in the Western world is...
We have to pay for that. Like, we can't just go to and ask someone.
Yeah, like everyone who was older in the community was like, that's your uncle, go to him, he can help you, or someone needs babysitting. So it was, I realised that not just my culture, because my culture is like that, where we can give our child to, our next door neighbour who's related to auntie, and everything will be alright. Even our food, like I said before, our villages have our crops. So we have to go to do the crop work, to do, because if there's no kalo or fa'i, which is taro, banana, maumanga, there will be no food. So it's almost like we're sharing the community, hence why we had the chief to say, you know what, we're going to make sure that there's always food. And that's why I think, the difference with our Indigenous cultures, and that's why I was surprised. I was like, I'm not saying I didn't like the black fellas, I just didn't know the black fellas, because I didn't hang around the black fellas back in the days. I just hung around my culture. Now my partner's Indigenous, and I'm going to have a half Indigenous, half Samoan, and I absolutely love the Indigenous culture. And it's funny because it's exactly the same as us, caring for each other, nurturing, respecting the elders, strong in the culture and the beliefs. And I guess the shamanism you're saying, the witch doctors, the healers. In my family, we have my father hasn't passed it on to me, but we got a special massage for fall. So if someone's injured, we got a special a way of massaging the muscle. And we don't really do this, but if someone pissed us off, we can get the oil, because no one's allowed to touch the oil when we massage. I can put it back on the fire and the fella will get sick again. So it's almost like, I think the Western world's missing that community love, which is, it's almost like embedded in us, Indigenous. And you know what? White fellas are Indigenous too. You know what I mean? So it's...
Actually, I was watching in West End, a young Greek guy starting a business in our premise. And it's interesting because he's been bringing through a lot of tradespeople as a Australian Greek. But I noticed that all his tradespeople are Greek. And all the people are Greek, and I respect that though. Like, I wasn't sort of going, oh wow, isn't that interesting? But there's a trust that runs deep within that.
The trust.
And I equally see this in the Asian, or broadly the Korean community, very much the same. The Chinese, particular, will stick together. There is a bonding. Indonesians will stick together. Australians, maybe it's because of our heritage and our ancestry through, the settler convict connections, that we've tended to, I think, go out, get our block of dirt, want to own this little bit of square bit.
And work hard, but then
but sort of we want to be private on our little or large block of land. We don't want someone to disturb us. We've worked for this. And there is a real disconnection with the young people and the older people in the, we'll call it the Australian model, because we're saying Western, but I don't think that's true of Italians and Greeks in my experience.
No, I think you're exactly right. I think putting an Australian perspective is a better way
and I
to
take
say
that to the American sort of view, because I know because obviously our closest, connection when we say West is really from the UK, American, sort of French connection, or Dutch, as well. The fact is that in America, I think there is that century of the self. It is what they said is the selfishness rather than selflessness. Yeah.
I've just spent 2 weeks in Hong Kong at a very exclusive private school that you go in through the guardhouse, and then there's security
guard
guards.
house.
then there's bodyguards, and
is this a bodyguard school? it seems like,
and being surrounded, but you knew you're in a school with a lot of money. I mean, when I look at the fee that I've got, they flew over my wife, children. We were in this amazing apartment, and then I got to see how the other half lived, and it was, and we were walking through the markets, and someone was singing out, "Copy watch, copy watch," and I said to my wife, I'd like to get myself one of those, and she said to me, "Why?" I said, "Because it will remind me of Hong Kong." And she says, "What's that?" I said, "That all that glitters is not gold." And I remember talking to some of the students. I said, "What's the culture of Hong Kong?" So Hong Kong Chinese see themselves a lot different to the mainland Chinese, a lot different.
Wow.
And there is a distinction.
Because of the colonialisation as well, by the way.
Well, Hong Kong was not... It was...
It's its own culture within itself, to tell the truth.
Hong Kong was a swamp-infested malaria pit hole.
And it was the trading houses that really brought it together.
The English came, the English brought Japanese in, and then the Hong Kong culture developed 150 years ago. So how the young Hong Kongs who I was working with saw it's all about making money, it's all about look, and to me...
It's pretty much like a trade culture when you look at it.
Well, to me... I felt the place had no soul.
Yeah.
I felt that it was all about show, and it was all about money.
That's Dubai as well.
Would you think that's like Las Vegas too?
Well, I've not been there, but I'm assuming. But I just remember coming away from that and people saying to me, "What was Hong Kong like?" And I said, "It was an experience." And they said, "Was it good or bad?" I said, "It was an experience." My 7-year-old son Lennon and myself, we were looking at attractions in Hong Kong, and we stumbled before we went to Hong Kong. So we were looking at Disneyland and this and that, and we stumbled across the cage people. So there are people who live in Hong Kong who literally live in cages, which are just under 3 meters by 1 meter high, and that's what they rent. So you'll go into some people have been living there 30, 40 years in these cages.
And that's it. Is it just like an empty cage?
Well, when you go home tonight, Google cage people Hong Kong, and you'll be amazed.
Let's have a look at that now.
So
I have the internet right now.
So to me, it was like, wow, I am actually in a city that runs on money. And if you do not have the money to compete, you have no status in the city. And every second child I was working with going, "So are you famous?" And I said, "Well, there's more to life than being famous." And they're going, "No, it's all about money and
Oh my God, they live in cages. No,
Yeah.
You're correct. I'm looking at this, and it's like you'd have a room that's kind of like a dog kennel.
yeah, and
It's
that's
a dog kennel for people.
and that's the other side of Hong Kong, which we didn't get to see.
Right.
Let's go a little talk about Ubuntu, which has a very deep African philosophy, doesn't it?
Well, Ubuntu, was pretty much put forth through a guy called Michael Tellinger, and he saw the ideas of the cultures that were around, especially Indigenous cultures, and how they set their communities. So what he did was he's formulated this plan in order to help transition, I guess, our culture into a place where we can be abundant for all without the necessities of money, which actually, when he looks at it, limits your culture. Because when you put that sort of thing on culture, it stops that guy from doing a job or doing something that he loves because he needs that money. So then all he does is he doesn't contribute because he can't afford anything to contribute.
Yeah.
So he lives in a cage because he doesn't have money to get out of that cage, which is stupid because he can provide anything. But yet his mentality is to live in that cage because of this fake necessity for money.
Yes,
And
it's all about worth or what your worth
yeah, and
is.
so he's worthless, so he has to live in his cage, and he can't break out of the cage because he's worthless. So the idea is that you create a community. It's easier for a smaller community to develop because it's harder because a massive city is so structured. But what you do is, in your community, you don't use money, but everyone contributes. So everyone then like say if you have a farm, everyone puts 3 hours a week into that farm. The whole community does it. So instead of you having like a person who works for 8 hours and you can only afford 3 people for 8 hours, well, everyone puts in 3 hours. If there's 100 people, you got 300 hours a week. Everyone hasn't really done that much work. It's only 3 hours.
But they've all contributed.
And this project now has more hours than it's possible to necessitate, to need. And each kid does the 3 hours as well. So in every... And say maybe you do 8 hours a week work, but you do it in 3 different places. So you only work for a day, but yet every industry within that community will get this massive amount of hours. And then everyone's diversified as well. So everyone knows everyone's job. No one's just that specialist who only knows that. So when that person goes away and dies, they don't know that knowledge. So everyone knows all about all the different parts of how the community works, can contribute because they're skilled in that part as well. And since there's so many hours, every industry is abundant. And so what you do is, since you've got so many hours in your business and you've got so much abundance because you've got so much work from everyone helping, you have more than you need in that community. And then what you do is you give that access to the next community over. I think that says a lot of things, and we're actually run out of time as well, guys. It's gone pretty quickly. So Greg, what's happening? Where can people get in touch with you? And where's Dandelion Gifts? Where can we get our dandelions from?
Well, we've only got 4 weeks to go. End of November, and we're all over. But
cool.
Of course, you can find us on Conscious Wisdom Podcast, which is a Facebook page, and we've got Conscious Wisdom Meetup, which will be starting again. Hopefully before the December. We'll
Excellent.
have some face-to-faces.
Sounds good.
Bit of a celebration. And Greg Dodge at WordPress for anyone who would like to read some interesting stories. That's me.
Excellent. Sounds good. And Kitch, where can people get in contact with you? What's happening? What's coming up?
Well, I just finished the tour, so I think I've got Stereosonic coming up. The Stereosonic launch parties. I've got to do Shooters, Hobart, Launceston, but I'm taking a break because I've got a kid that's about to come out.
I can understand.
In like 2 weeks.
and then I know that you'll never sleep again.
I know, but which is all right because I never sleep anyway.
Okay, well, supposedly there's a whole different place that's beyond where you think you know that place where you think, oh, geez, I could never be more tired than this?
Yeah.
There's a place beyond that.
Yeah, no.
There's a place beyond that.
Yeah.
I guess you can find me on my Facebooks, MC Kitch, forward to update on my music and where I'm playing. But yeah, apart from that, Conscious Wisdom. And but before I end, just thanks for everybody. Greg, it's always good to catch up.
It's good to catch up. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
bring us together.
Excellent.
Yeah, Kris and Getano. Lovely to meet you, my brother.
And Getano, where can people get in touch with you? What's happening in the future?
I'll be in Boggo Road on Monday, visiting.
The old prison. They're having you
No,
back.
not Boggo Road. The new prison. Oh, look, I'm around in one guise or another. So please just come up and say hi. I'm always... I like to think of myself as a narrator of life stories, I think is a little thing. And I think we all need to value our stories. And thank you, guys. Everyone here, including you, Big Dick.
Big Dick.
Big Dick.
He's our camera guy.
For allowing us the opportunity to share our stories.
It's a pleasure, guys. And hopefully everyone at home, you've got some new insights and on how you live through his Indigenous culture and from what we've talked about. And hopefully, we can all get together and find new ways to instead of being individuals, to get together. Say hello to the nano across the street.
Share the love.
Sweep her front lawn. I don't know if you can sweep her front lawn, but hey, it's at least trying.
Blow it.
It's at least breaking the
Why
ice.
have lawn when you can have a veggie garden?
I know, exactly. Let's get together, make some veggie gardens. And because you know why? Because I got me a Shaman stick. And